let us begin the podcast. What's happening, everybody? We're back in the studio. How's the light, JR, behind me?
Great.
Light looks good behind me, that camera, directly. I think we're set up, dog. I think we're set up. What a trip we had, huh? What a week we've had. What a fantastic week, dude. Weird week. JR and I did some shows in Arizona. They were dope. I realized that comedy is what I'm supposed to be doing. Man, I missed it so much, dude. That shit was, you want to talk about really appreciating something, don't do it for 5 months. And then you'll get up there, and I don't know if I was being overly cheesy with the audience, but I was like, thank you guys for being here. Thank you so much. You know, without you guys, we wouldn't be nothing. Well, this is what's happening, dude. We're back in the studio. We had a hell of a trip to Arizona. I don't know if we got COVID or not. That's still up in the air. I got tested today.
I'm going to go tomorrow.
And I have a couple days before I can be around people because I want to be for sure that I don't have nothing. And I've been with JR, so if he's got it, I got it. So we got the test. We'll see what happens. And then I'm taking another one tomorrow just because I think the turnaround on that one's a little quicker. If anybody needs that information, I don't have it. I'm kidding. If you need that information, it's really easy to find. You just go online, and there's a bunch of free sites where you can get tested. And I think they take 48 to
72 hours.
72 hours.
Yeah.
And I think the one that I took today said 3 to 5 days. So that's why I wanted to get a quicker one so I could go down and see my familia if I need to. And so we did it, dude. But it was a little weird because Arizona, they don't pay attention to the rules, really. They don't really. So I was a little worried since we were there. I mean, you just see everyone's just regular, you know. And we would do the shows, hang out on the side, and then, you know, do the shows and leave right away. We weren't doing any meet and greets or anything like that. So we do the shows. Everything was great. We had some weird moments. JR and I had some very weird moments. JR would get high. You think you know someone? You think you know somebody, dude, until you go on a road trip with that person. I thought I knew JR. I thought I freaking knew this dude, man. You know, we work together on the road. He helps me with the podcast. And we're driving, dude, about an hour into our trip. It's a 6-hour drive. We didn't want to fly because we don't want to be in a plane right now, so we're driving to Arizona. About an hour into the drive, dude, there's a lull in the conversation. You know when there's a little lull in a conversation? Every conversation has it. I don't know what the statistic is. It's like every 6 to 8 minutes, there's a period of silence. And that's for a reason. It's just natural reset. And you just collect your thoughts and maybe move on. You push on to another subject, right? You push on. JR didn't let that one sit. Hour in, bro, we're talking about how we miss stand-up so much. How, you know, when are we going to get back to work? And, oh, man, I'm missing it. We're not making money right now, so what are we going to do? Then there's a lull. That happens, then a lull. Let the lull lie, I would say. Let the lull lie. Let's sit in the silence for a moment. JR could not. This fool turns to me with almost glassy tear eyes. You know he did. And he goes, I could have been a manager at In-N-Out. Well, he was, I could have been a manager. Or I should have been a manager at In-N-Out. And he just throws that on me. Now I gotta, dude, I gotta sit with that now. Now I gotta sit with this information that my boy wanted to be an In-N-Out manager, and he's been really, really torn up about it over the day. And I was like, dude, first of all, I was like, what? Like, shoot a little higher, dog. You know, like, shoot a little higher. You know, you could have said, I should have been a lawyer or something. You know, like, if you would have said something like that, or, you know, some sort of trade school. So I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? But I didn't know how to respond to that. Because what do you say? What do you say to that? As a comic going to do the gig, which is what I've always wanted to do. And I thought like we made it doing what we're doing. And this fool looks at me. It was reverse. You don't do that. You don't become like a touring comedian and then say, dude, I should have just gone back and cleaned windows. That's not how it works, JR. So he said that to me, and I'm like looking at him. I'm going, what do I say to this? And I didn't even know because he was serious. And I go, dude, what are you talking about? And he goes, man, they make $200,000 a year.
Yep.
And at that point, I was like, dude, let's go get applications. Why are we doing comedy all together? Why are we even doing comedy? No, my mind was blown because I was like, oh, so that's why he's so serious about this. I should have been an In-N-Out manager because it was a sure shot. And then he proceeded to tell me, I didn't ask. JR proceeded to tell me his whole process of he had 2 homies that gave him references and you can't even get in there if you don't have a reference. And he's like, I had it all set up. I had some cousins. And it was like this nostalgic thing he was going back to. He goes, I had some cousins. They were going to hook me up with an interview. And I was like, oh, dude, okay. And he's like, dude, and then he just kept giving me facts, dude, about In-N-Out. He was like, you know, I was supposed to go to the university. In-N-Out has a university! What? In-N-Out has a university, dude. He goes, yeah, man, I was supposed to go to IOU. In-N-Out University. He said, IOU. Yeah, you do owe me. You owe me about 15, 20 minutes of my time. This guy, dude. So now we're sitting there in this weird... I don't go, do I still talk about comedy or do I pivot toward fries? What do I got to do for my boy to feel comfortable in this ride? Because I'm like, dude, it's going to get better. But we don't have anything on the books other than this thing, this Arizona date. So I think this is why the situation was so dire. So then we're sitting, he's telling me $200,000. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of money. That's why In-N-Out employees are so on point. And he's like, dude, that's just it. If you're a first base manager, and he gave me a bunch of info. You know, and I'm like, damn, because when you do go into an In-N-Out, first of all, they all look the same. It's like set up. So you can pluck a motherfucker from In-N-Out, you know, in Ontario, California. I should have used a different city because Ontario, you're going to think Canada right away, but I didn't do that. So here we are. And you could take that motherfucker to San Bernardino, which I should have used a different county because Ontario is in San Bernardino. So what am I doing here? Anyway, you could take a guy in In-N-Out in the city of Orange, and you could pluck that dude in the In-N-Out in downtown Los Angeles, and he would be like a fish in motherfucking water. Fish in water. He would know exactly where the pickles are. They don't have pickles. What am I doing today? They do have pickles?
Yeah, you can have
secret menu. See, that's another thing. If you're a Cali boy.
Secret menu too.
Yeah, there's little secret menus. Like chopped chilies. That's a good secret one for In-N-Out, dude. Order the chopped chilies. This is how I do my burger at In-N-Out. Here we go. Ready? A double single. Probably wondering what that is. Double meat, 1 cheese. I don't want to overkill the cheese. Because you know Joe Blow's just putting 2 pieces of cheese stuck together anyway. So if you ask for 1, you're getting 2. You know that's happening. They don't pay attention.
No, they do. That's why they get paid the big bucks.
Well, maybe that's why. If the manager making $200K was doing it, yeah, he'd put 1 slice of cheese, but it's not him. It's a fucking minimum wage guy with acne who's fucking going,
minimum wage.
Just put 1.
They don't make minimum wage.
What do they make? See, here he goes again. Listen to that voice.
They don't make
the tone that you just heard is the tone I heard for 6 hours. And to make matters worse, guys, how uncomfortable the ride is, every 15 miles, there's an In-N-Out. So now we got to revisit it. Every 15 miles, we see an In-N-Out, and I got to look at JR, and he looks at me, and I got to go, sorry. Sorry that I'm taking you on the road. So I had to keep joking back. Is there any other comedians who would like to do this? So every 15, 20 minutes, I'd call a new comedian and be like, hey, dude, what are you doing? I need a new guy to open for me. I always fuck with them, dude. So that was that. So tell me, what? I didn't even finish my burger, dude. This is how I do my burger. Double single. That's 1 piece of cheese, 2 meats. Okay. You add chopped chilies. So the little yellow peppers, chop those up. They throw them in your burger. And I get grilled onions. You got to go grilled, dude. If you go raw, you can't go out the freaking rest of the night. Your breath smells like shit. That's my order. So we go to In-N-Out. We actually go to an In-N-Out. JR's talking about it so much. Now he's giving me insight. We're in the drive-thru, dude. He fucking leans over to me. This guy, I don't know if you've ever had someone tell you something over their glasses. He pulled down his glasses. He did this thing where he pulled down his glasses, and then he looked, like his eyes came over. There was, his sunglasses. They came, I don't even know how he did it. The eyes were more forward than than the glasses were. And he said, you know where they make their money? And I go, I haven't the clue. But I bet you're going to tell me. And he goes, they make their money on the milkshakes and the fries. Another bit of useless information that I didn't need. But JR, it's working in his head, so he got it out. He told me, dude. I go, that's great. That's freaking great, bro. And I guess it makes sense, though, because, the meat costs probably more money than the shit to make the milkshake or the potatoes to make the fries, which In-N-Out has the worst fries. Are they bad for you or are they good for you? Because they're all natural. You see them squish the potato, so it's as close you can get to a real potato that's just fried. But it's not a McDonald's fry, which is not even a potato, I don't think. That's just like mashed up powder that they make into the form of fries that you eat and you think is a potato. That is probably not a potato. If you ever hear a beep in the episode, that means I really lost my train of thought. There's times where I'll lose my train of thought and I'll try to wind back around. But if I watch this tape and I go, nothing makes sense, you're going to hear a boop, and then we'll be on a new subject. And cue the beep. We're in the drive-thru. JR's giving me all this information. Extra. It's extra. It's like when you get some napkins, you get your drive-thru food and they give you some napkins. And they give you a handful of more napkins that you're not going to use. JR's giving me the handful of extra napkins. The analogy is that's the information he's giving me. I'm not going to use them. Ever. I'm not going to use it ever. So I have all these extra napkins in my brain. And he's taking up space in my head. I have ADD. I have a limited amount of space in my brain. And JR's shoved it full of all this In-N-Out information.
I was just giving you valuable information. And then also, I want to let you know, because you said something, go the minimum wage workers, and I don't like you disrespecting them like that.
Okay. Dude, JR's hardcore In-N-Out, dude. And if you don't think he's got the logo on his lower back, you're tripping. Because he does, dude. We got in the pool, which was another weird thing that happened. So it's AZ. We have nothing to do because we don't want to go outside because of COVID. So there's a pool in the community. There's no one out there. We're like, dude, it's 115 degrees in Arizona. Let's go take a dip. At least we can smoke a joint and take a dip, right? We go to the pool. JR doesn't warn me. This fool takes his shirt off. Tattoo about this big. In-N-Out logo, like a tramp stamp, dude, with a drive-thru on the back. And it goes all the way around to his belly button, dude. Like as if that's where you would order his belly button. And he's standing there, dude, just looking at me. And he's just staring at me, dude. That shit got awkward a little bit, too. We're in the water. And he keeps looking at my hair, which is already weird, the stare. And then he keeps looking at my hair and goes, look at you over there. And I'm like, all right, now I'm telling you that to tell you this. A few hours later, we did our show. We come home, smoke a joint. Really good weed, by the way. Pacific Stone, Orange Sativa. It's just called Orange Sativa by Pacific Stone. It was some of the best, most fun, creative weed that we smoked on the way up. We were coming up with all sorts of crazy shit until JR started telling me about In-N-Out. We're back at the condo. We smoke this weed, having a good time. We're like, dude, let's go get some food. What's open? There's nothing open but Taco Bell. So we're like, fuck it. We're on the road. Let's go. Go to Taco Bell. Drive through. Order fucking $50 worth of shit, like you do when you're high. You're like, there's no way I'm going to eat this. Dude, we downed the whole fucking thing. And we're sitting there, and somehow, I don't know what it is about Taco Bell, but you don't get full. You get sick. After a while, you get really sick. But you never get full. I don't know how I could stuff so much, and the sodium's in there, so it's just tastes like crack because you just want more and more and more. All the same ingredients, just made in different ways. Tortillas, beans, cheese, all the same shit, just made differently. Call it the chupa chupa. Gay, now out, the chila chupe. Anywho, we're done with the food, man. We're still high as shit. And then JR's looking at me again. I'm on the couch. He's in the kitchen kind of looking through to the living room area. And then he just looks at me and goes, look at you over there looking like a snack. And I go, what? And then he goes, I wish we had some snacks. Wait, so I'm sorry? So was I high and I heard wrong, or did you say, and this is the perfect time to ask him?
You're high.
Okay.
You make things up. We
Oh,
discussed this on the podcast
okay.
previous.
So
You
we got
make things up in your head.
as reference. And then if you were to cut this up, you'd put
Yeah.
the peanut butter incident,
peanut butter
the fingers in the peanut butter incident.
and countless other incidents. But you make things up.
Well, you got a point. I'm not perfect. I never said I was perfect. But that was hilarious, dude, because I thought he said, look at you over there looking like a snack. I swear to God, maybe I was watching, like we were watching Karate Kid, and maybe I heard like it was a mix of maybe, Daniel San and whatever JR was saying, but it came out, look at you over there looking like a snack. And I said, what? And he goes, I wish we had some snacks. That was so funny to me. So they either have a hotel that you stay at, or some comedy clubs have a condo, which is something they do. It saves them a little money because they don't have to put comedians up every weekend, and they own it, and obviously they can make money off whatever the appreciating value of that place. And also if they want to stay there, whatever, they have condos sometimes, and sometimes they'll put you in a hotel. This particular club and their other clubs, Tammy and Rick always have a condo, and their condos are nice compared to anybody else's condos. They're actually really nice. Because you'll hear horror stories, and if you look up like any comedian's road stories, there's always horror stories of like dirty ass condos with shit everywhere. And I've stayed in some horrible ones, dude, in Florida, like fucking lizards inside. So there's those type, and then there's the nice type. So if it's a nice one, I'll don't have any problem staying there. But early on, you do have to stay in some shit. If you're out there and you're aspiring, get ready for shitty condos. I always look to see who is there, or you can kind of tell who is there based off of the remnants of what is left, or what you feel, or you can smell in the air. You kind of know, you can take a guess at who's been there. So I walk in. The place smells like Cheech and Chong's van. The inside, bro, hot boxed. We walk. It smelled like somebody took a huge bong rip. They're like, oh, they're here. Like fucking ripped a big old bong rip. I don't know why I did a drum roll for a bong rip, but that's the sound I made. And they just took a huge rip, and they're like, boom, and then they jumped out the back window. Right as we're opening the door, they were jumping out. That's how fresh this weed smoke was. And it was just filled up the whole place. And I'm like, that's been here. No, I didn't know exactly it was, but I know we partied on the road, and like we smoked a ton of weed in Vegas and shit together, and like I know he burns. So when I was like, who was here last week? And they go, I go, aha. And then I texted him, I go, yo, dog, what did you do? And where is the baggie? Because, sometimes you'll leave weed. Like I always do. If I know if it's a friend that's coming, I'll leave something, dude. This time I left ice cream. I left some fucking fudge bars for Adam Hunter. Adam Hunter was the next comic coming, so I left him some fudge bars. Sometimes I'll write a note. I forgot to write a note this time. The time before that was another comic. I left him a joint and just put, hey, man, enjoy it, And that's kind of a nice thing, a little camaraderie amongst comics. Then you open the drawer and you see that. There's always condoms. There was condoms in the drawer by the bed. There always is. I'm convinced there's pinholes in them. As a practical joke, they put pinholes in the condoms.
They would.
Or like, they always say never use the shampoo or whatever in the condos, that's left over, because you don't know what people are doing with that. I mean, I don't think in Rick and Tammy's place that people are doing that, but there's some, these weird road dog guys that are like pissing in the shampoo and then laughing about it,
Fuck, now I'm not gonna.
Yeah, don't do it. I don't know. Somebody told me that, like an older comic told me that. We were at the comedy condo for the Comedy Store in La Jolla, which is actually, that's probably one of the best comedy condos in the country. Is the Comedy Store in La Jolla, is right on the water, and you have a view of the pier. It's the most gorgeous condo view that I've ever stayed in for comedy clubs. And it's dope. You're just right there. You see people watch all day. You can drink, go out right to the beach. It's right in front of you. It's gorgeous. But somebody there, I mean, it may have been Brett Ernst. I don't know. But somebody told me like, oh, no, don't use that shit. I was like, oh, there's shampoo. Score. They're like, no, don't use it. Like, and then he mentioned who was there the week before. He's like, don't, dude, because that guy fucks around.
Oh.
He goes, that guy messes around with the stuff. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to use it. So that was it, man. We were at the condo. It was a fun stay. We had some great shows. Going from 10 years of my life doing stand-up every single night to 5 months of not doing it, I was like pretty scared. Like most nervous I've been in a long time before going up. And then as soon as I hit the stage, I don't know what got into me, but it's like, boom, you're back.
Yeah.
And it felt so good. It just felt so good. And the people there were really, really, really appreciative of the show. And they were there for a good time. So that made it even easier. When I started comedy and I would go on the road with somebody, like when I was touring with Maz, and we'd be like, oh, dude, we're going to Chicago. I'd be like, man, I want to stay. I want to even get in a night early. Just so I'm like, rested. 1, 2, I'm in the city because I didn't travel that much before. Go to all these different cities. So it was like cool to be in the city a night before and you get to explore and then stay, at least till the next day because, you're flying. So I'd get like a late flight for that Sunday. If we were leaving Sunday or if it was Monday, I'd even get like a 2, 3 p.m. flight so I can have like morning to go grab breakfast somewhere or like do something else. So I always did that. And, JR, you're probably in that phase too. You like to stay in a city right now. But dude, once you start doing weekends and you're like doing every other weekend or like 3 weekends a month or even 4 weekends a month in some situations, you get the earliest flight out of that motherfucker. And if they have flights that night, I'll take the flight that night after the show. But unfortunately, sometimes we get out like at 10 from the Sunday show. So you got to wait till the next morning. And then that morning I'm up at like 6 a.m. on a flight, 6:37 out to come home because I want to have a full Monday. But yeah, dude, we were at the condo and we drove. So I'm like, dude, pack the shit. We're going to leave. I had a rental because my car was at the shop. And then we're like, dude, let's take off. Have our bags ready. We grabbed our bags. We dip right away. We're like, perfect. We'll be home by 2 a.m. We're leaving Arizona at like 9:30, 10 or something. We'll be home by 2:30. It'll be perfect.
Yeah.
I stay up till 2 anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Then we get a full night's sleep. We're up. We have a great Monday. We're back, baby.
Yeah.
So we're headed home. Gas on the car is great. We were talking about how good the gas on the rental car is. I'm like, damn, dude, it's a Charger and it gets 500 gallons. 500 miles for the full tank. This is great. So we're driving, dude, out of Arizona. Gas is like fucking $1 in Arizona. Gas is $2. I exaggerated, but it's like $2, man, compared to California, which is like $4, $5, $4, $3.50. So, right, we're driving home. I'm like, all right, we have a little bit of time. I see Arizona. I'm like, let me get on the outskirts. Let me get on the outskirts of the city so I can get really brass bottom gas price, So we're cruising, and I'm like, all right, I'm not thinking about it. We're going. Gas looks good. I'm like, this car's fine. Does well. Gets good gas mileage. We're good. So we continue going. Then all of a sudden, it's like, on my phone, I hear it was like, beep, beep. An emergency signal I've never heard in my life.
Yeah.
And we're like, what the fuck? Both Jared and I look at each other, we're like, what the hell is that, dude? And it was like, bam, bam. And it was like, right? It was in Spanish or mix of Portuguese.
Nah, it wasn't Spanish because I understand Spanish.
Yeah, but but it was like automated.
Yeah, so it
could have been like weird Spanish that they were trying to translate or something. It was weird, dude. And it was this weird warning, and it came on, and it went through my Bluetooth and played through the speakers. So we heard it, but JR couldn't even make it out, and I was like, what the fuck is that? Is that about? And we just thought nothing of it. We continued to go. But within that time, I realized, damn, dude, we're out of the city limits now. We're out of, any civilization. There's no gas stations. It's like that part of the 10 where it's like 40 miles before you hit something and then 50 miles before you hit something. One of those shits. So we're cruising, dude. Dark, pitch black. Moonlight. But it's beautiful. You look and you see the silhouette of the fucking hills and the mountains. Beautiful. So I'm like, dude, look at that, JR. Look at the moon. I look over at JR. He's looking at me looking like a snack. So we're like cruising. And then all of a sudden, not thinking anything of it, I forgot about the gas thing. And I hear, Ba-doo. I look, the gas gauge. Gas lights on, dog. I'm like, no worries, bro. This thing's got range. So, on a car, you look at the range. I look at the range. We got 35 miles, bro. There's got to be something in 35 miles. It's got to be. They make the roads. They put something in 35 miles from here. So, I go, JR, trusty co-pilot, get on the freaking phone, dog. Figure out where the closest gas station is. We got 2 options. He goes, pulled it up. Beep, whoop. Little R2-D2 ass. Pulled it up, and he goes, all right, man, we got 2 options. One is 30 miles, and one is 32 miles.
It was backwards.
Dude, the one was 30 miles, was 15 miles up to the next exit, get off that one, go 15 miles back. That's 30 miles. But we don't want to backtrack. So we now got to push it. Remember, our range is 35 fucking miles. 35 miles. Now we got to push it to 32 miles, which is the next actual exit. So now we're, dude, even for me, because those cars, bro, if you drive them fast or you get heavy on the gas or you got a lead foot, that range ain't the range. 35 miles is going to be 20 miles if you drive like an idiot. So we're cruising. And I'm watching it, and JR is he's got an audition or something in the morning. He's got to Zoom.
I'm just panicked because that's just happened to me before.
Dog, he had his Zoom, and he's looking at me. He goes, "You ain't get gas. You ain't fucking get gas." I'm like, dude, there's two of us in the car, bro. He was yelling at me. Again, I called for another. I was like, is there anybody else I can take on the road? I'm kidding. So he's yelling at me. I'm driving. I'm like, hey, man, you didn't warn me that we were getting out of the city. And he's like, no, it's all good, dude. And he didn't say it's all good. He was all butthurt and shit. He was like over there. I could see his face, like no support, bro. And I'm over there co-piloting in a fucking down ship like Sully. The shit's about to go down, bro. And I'm trying to navigate. And he's like, just go faster. I'm like, dude. And then we got an argument about that because he's like, go faster because we'll get there quicker. I'm like, dog, you look at this fucking consumption. There's a consumption meter on these cars nowadays, right? That shows you like what kind of gas mileage you're doing if you stayed at that rate. So when you gun it, that shit goes down. So I'm trying to explain to JR, and I'm wasting gas explaining to him. I'm going, Ian, look. Ian, look. And I'm gassing it, and I'm showing him. And he's like, oh, and then finally fucking 10 minutes later, he goes, okay, I get it. And but by now our range is at fucking like 33 miles. Now we got 32 miles to go, dude. We're cruising. And then in the mileage, sometimes it goes down a little more. And we're just dipping, dude. And then I'm like putting it in neutral, trying to gain headway. And then we hit an uphill patch. Motherfucker. So we're going uphill, but we're making it, dude. We're making ourselves light. Windows are up, dude. We're leaning forward.
No air conditioner.
No air conditioning, dude. And it's 3,000 degrees in the car. No air conditioning at all. AZ. Nighttime. Still hot. Cruising, dude. And this consumption's going down, dude. The freaking range is going down. Our mileage is going down. I'm looking at his phone and looking at the car, looking at his phone, looking at the car, looking at the car. Back and forth, dude. And we're cruising. And then, dude, we're getting close. And then, bam, we see the exit, dude. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. We see the exit, dude. We were like, perfect, dog. We pull off the exit. Gas station's right there, but why the light's not on? This thing closed? JR, goes, no worries, dog. There's another one right across the freeway. We go, perfect. 24 hours, it says. Pride or whatever. Pilot and Pride. 24 hours. Got to be open, man. 24 hours. We are in the 23rd hour. Cruise over the hill. No lights. No lights at all. What the fuck is going on? We walk up, dude. There is two of the attendants that work at the gas station outside. And they're like, it's a power outage. It's a power outage! So that fucking alarm that we heard in Espanol was a power outage warning. Because there was a storm somewhere in the middle of the desert that knocked out some of these power poles, dude. And we're in Salome, Arizona, dude. I don't even know. I've never heard of the place until now. But it's one of those truck stop along the highway. And that's your only option, dude. A bunch of trucks there. But guess what kind of gas they have? Diesel. Nobody's got a fucking helping hand for us at that point. So they're like, no, you guys got to just post up, bunk up with us in the morning. I guess you're with us in the morning. And they were in good spirits. We were not. We were like, damn, what? There's no other... Can we go over there? They go, no, nobody has electricity. And we haven't had it since 5 p.m. You know, they don't have it that way. Don't go. I hope you're not going that way because it's out for miles. And the other way, it's about 40 miles to the next town, Quartzsite.
Yeah.
They
38
may or
now.
may not have electricity. We're like, what are we doing? We get in the car. JR gives up right away. Dude, this fool goes, yep, thank you. And he goes and sits in the car like this.
I've been in situations like that before, so I
Dog,
just
you
went
gave up so quick. I go, not even I don't mean to sound like Sebastian.
back.
Not a skunk, but not even an attempt. I don't even know I'm making an attempt. That's right, yeah. If Sebastian was like, yeah, you didn't even make an attempt. He's resigned. He sits in the car. I go, JR, we got to do something. Let's try to figure this out, bro.
But then I started it.
What?
But then I started the wheels to turn.
Well, yeah, we started to think about what can we do, dog. And now people are giving up left and right.
Yeah,
I mean, you're looking at people, and I guess this is what separates the boys from the men. Whatever it is, because people are just pulling up, giving up, and then they go, oh, what's going on? Oh, we got to stay? Okay. What are you doing? So they're like pulling up, and then you see them all give up one by one. And not to sound like the fucking leader of the Spartans. But I go, not on my watch, which was a Rolex. Dude, I had a Rolex on at the time. So dumb, dude. If there's never a situation where you want to have a Rolex on your wrist, it's when you're in the middle of the motherfucking desert at a truck stop. Everyone's out of gas, and that's the one commodity that they can melt down and get some supplies with, bro. So I got to fucking dodge the rollie, dude. Throw that bitch in the center console and act like I'm struggling with y'all. That's fucked up. No, but I didn't want to look like I was a fucking some asshole rich guy from LA, which I'm not. I just got a rollie. I'll wear it on the next one, dude. I don't like to show off, but hey, here we are. Anyways, this is all going to get cut out. So anyway, dude, I take my watch off, throw it in the center console. I'm like, dude, let's try to make some plans, bro. We walk up, we start getting friendly with the staff. They were the sweetest people in the world. First of all, the guy that works there, and as much as you want to think like, oh, back country, like these people don't know what's going on, bro. Some of the nicest people that I've ever come in contact with.
Shout out to Josh.
Straight up Josh and Heidi. They were the attendants. And let me tell you something right now. They took the opportunity, talking about making fucking lemonade out of lemons, bro. They were out of power. They're like, fuck this, dude. The cameras are off. We're drinking. Dude, so they're wasted. The attendant, it's like this guy maybe in his, like, I'd say he's 30.
Yeah.
And then Heidi, she's probably like in her 50s or something. Maybe less. Heidi, I'm sorry if I'm aging you. But I'm not a good gauge. The sweetest lady in the world. The dude was super cool. As soon as we got there, he's like, yeah, man, you're going to have to chill here. At first, I thought maybe he was going to be a dick because he kind of was really short with it. But I'm sure you got a lot of people coming up asking what the situation is. So he was really short. But then when we went to talk to him, he's like, dude, here, let me get you some waters. He goes in the store, gets us two big-ass waters. This is before we even said anything. Brings the waters out, puts them right there, dude. We're like, damn, thanks, man. But, like, we got to try to find a way out. Is there any way, does anybody have a gas station? This is a gas station. You don't have, like, a can of gas, like, laying around. Like, dude, I'll pay you for it. Like, do you have anything? He's like, and we thought for a second, he's like, let me check, man. I got to have like a lawnmower or something in the shed, that has to have some gas in it or something, or a little gas can for a lawnmower, but it's a 2-stroke, engine. So it's got oil mixed in. And I go, motherfucker, I got a rental. I had a rental, bro. Just get us to the next town and I'll fill her up. So whatever we can put in there, I don't care if you put fucking Gatorade in that motherfucker. If it gets us to quartzite, I'm doing it. Right, so we get the freaking he gets the gas can. This dude had a little light on his head, man. This guy was a godsend. Josh was a G. He was trying to help us more than we were trying to help us, so but I know when I said like, hey, we got a little money, he's like, fuck, and the fire under that, he was like, let me, what kind of money we're talking about, Danny? He got a fire under his ass and he started getting ready, dude. He was like, I can do this, dude. So he started to get ready, bro. He runs into the shed. He's like breaking the freaking locks off the shit. He's doing whatever he's got to do to get in the shed. Opens the shed up, and he's drunk. And so is Heidi. And Heidi's going, Heidi's laughing her little ass off, dude. She's like, well, we're stuck over here, aren't we? And we were having to trying to stay positive about it. And because we are fucked, in that situation, dude, you had to laugh. As soon as we got there and the shit was out and we were riding like that, that was a laughing moment. Like, there's two ways to handle that. You either go, fucking fuck, shit, fuck, shit, fuck. Or those experiences actually turn out to be ones that you won't forget. You know, like if we made it home regularly, I probably wouldn't even be telling the story, and I'll probably never remember that trip because there wasn't a standout portion of it. So that was the silver lining. So anyway, Josh goes and gets the 2-stroke engine gas, right? So it's mixed with oil, whatever, but it's a gallon gas tank, and it's probably a quarter full. That shit won't get us out of the motherfucking parking lot, right? So that we put it in the car. We're like, dude, the range didn't go up at all, whatever. Now we got to figure out another thing. We're looking around. We're like, damn it. We thought every time we would think that we solved the problem, it was like, fuck, it would stop. Yeah. Then Josh goes, dude, Heidi's got a little Prius. She just got like a little used Prius there that she just bought. And she's like, well, I got my Prius. Has a full tank of gas. Maybe you could siphon the gas. And Josh goes, well, no, they put the screen in the new one. I would have never known that. You know, I thought, you know, I hadn't seen someone siphon gas since, you know, I was a kid. But siphoning gas is where you suck the gas out of, you know, the tank with a hose, and you put it into either your gas tank or you fill up another tank with it, like a gas can. So Josh is like, dude, we're going to try to siphon out of Heidi's Heidi's car. And we're like, dude, if we could just get a gallon, if we can get 2 gallons just to get to the next city, dude, that would be perfect. And he's like, hey, man, he's like, here, it's going to suck for whoever's going to do it. And I'm like, fuck. I'm looking at JR. JR's looking at me like I'm a snack again. And we're like, damn, we don't want to do, I don't even know how to do it. I'm going to probably choke on the gas. You know, I don't know how to do that. I've never done it before. And so he comes back with a hose. The hose, we're like, yes, he's fucking good. It's going to work. It's too thick. Now he's got to fashion another hose. He gets a skinny hose, comes back, it goes perfectly in there. And he's second down there. He's like, I'll tell you what, man. You give me $50, I'll fucking do it. I was like, duh, are you kidding me, dude? Done deal. So he gets that shit shoving in there, and he starts sucking the gas, and he starts to siphon it. And then I was like videotaping because I was giving him the light too. But then I started to feel bad because, dude, he was sucking the gas and it was hitting his mouth. And then he was like, oh. And at first it wasn't going down all the way. So he was just sucking fumes. And I'm like, dude, this is fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we're paying him, but like, dude, that's fucked up that he has to do it. And then he just kept and he wouldn't stop. Like, you know, he was really, and I gave him the money at first, and then he gave it. This is what kind of person Josh was.
That was dope.
Dude, he gave us the money back while he was doing it because he goes, just in case I don't get it. And I'm like, dude, no. Like, and he's like, here, dude, just you guys hold on to it. He was just the sweetest. I can't even explain it, man. Super cool dude. Not like you'd think like some crazy meth guy or anything like that, you know? He was a normal dude. Me and Jared were both like, dude, that guy had nice teeth. Out of the blue, like we're like, he had nice teeth.
He had a nice smile.
You wouldn't picture it. You could see it in the photo. But anyway, he's like trying his hardest, dude, and it turns out like we thought we were gonna get it because a little bit of droplets of gas was coming out. But there is a screen there. So there's a screen in the fucking gas tank so it doesn't let you siphon gas. I guess the newer cars, they all have it. So now we look over at Heidi, and I'm like, Heidi, is there any way you can give us a ride to the next city? We'll pay you for this, for the Josh trying to do the gas, and I'll pay you to take us down there and bring us back. Because, dude, no AAA is happening. They're all, dude, everyone's stranded. No one's answering. There's nobody to take us, tow us, anything like that. Or like even take us to get gas. Nobody. Except for a bunch of truck drivers and people that gave up that I'm not going to go to their window because it's coronavirus. So we're like, yeah, totally. I'll give you cash and then give Josh money and, you know, we'll be good. And we'll give you a couple joints. I saw she was smoking a vape. I was like, we got some weed too in the car. And she's like, well, and then Josh looks over and goes, well, it's up to you, Heidi, you know. But Josh was looking out for her because he's like, you're drunk.
Such a sweetheart. That fool,
dude.
And now that I picked that,
he goes, you know, because he was like, he would have said do it, but he was like, Heidi. And then Heidi looks at us and goes, well, I only have one DUI. She was so cute, man. I fucking love this lady. And we were laughing, and then she goes, all right, well, all right. And then she goes to get into the thing, and Josh is like, Heidi, are you sure? And I'm like, Heidi, I'll drive, you know, but she just got in the car, so she was kind of maybe nervous about having someone drive it, which I totally understood. So there's a little bit of a standoff, but she's about to take us, and I'm like, dude, am I about to get in the car? You know, are we going to drive, and am I going to let her fucking drive like that? And then luckily, Josh goes, why don't you let him drive? He's safe. So we decided that, like, I would drive with her, and I would drive the car. She would come with me, and then JR would stay back with Josh, so they didn't think we were gonna like fucking kill Heidi. You know? And so that's what we did. So I jump in the car and just proceed to drive 40 miles to Quartzsite to get gas. And we had the best conversation. I mean, probably the best conversation I've had in 10 years with this little old lady from, and I don't want to call her old, but little lady from Salome, Arizona, which I would have never in a million years thought I would get along with. And she was so sweet. She's like, I used to be a nurse. She used to live in Maine. Then she moved to Arizona for a guy. And the shit got weirder and weirder and crazier to the point where I was like, dude, this is so interesting. I want to go back there and do a documentary about this lady. She was so interesting. Then she moved to Arizona for a guy. They move into a trailer together. It's going kind of weird. And then she meets this other guy, this like random straggler dude who's kind of like a schizophrenic guy that she takes off the street, that's 20 years younger than her, brings her into the house and is trying to take care of him. And then they start falling in love. So then they fall in love. The husband and her get divorced. And she's like, I didn't intend on anything to happen, but my husband never paid attention to me. This guy, you know, we were getting along and we were just friends. And then, you know, one thing led to another and they started to date each other. And then the husband dips and now she's with him. A few years go by. This guy's kind of got like mental problems. You know, he's like schizophrenic, bipolar. And there's a murder. It gets so crazy, dude. We're driving. I'm learning all this information as I'm driving. And we're laughing and joking too. And she's, you know, drinking her drink. I'm driving. I know I shouldn't be doing that for sure. But dude, we were in the middle of nowhere, you know, and she's not doing anyone any harm drinking in her passenger seat. And I'm just driving. And she goes, yeah, there was a murder down the street. The lady got killed that used to work near the gas station. She was stabbed 50 times. And they think that he did it, her boyfriend, and I was involved. And because I happened to call her, I wanted to go bowling. I called her to see if she wanted to go bowling while she was being murdered. Dude, it was like that Making a Murder series. Like that was the cast of characters and very interesting, mixed with the Tiger King a little bit. You know what I mean? Like that is the interesting characters that I was hearing about and then how Heidi was telling it. And she was like, yeah. And I'd called her house to see, but apparently she was getting murdered at the time. So when they checked the records, it looked like I was checking to see if everything was happening. And she's like, I had nothing to do with it. Now the whole town thinks that we did something because they never liked me because I took the guy in. And so there was like a little thing, you know, about her in the town. Like everybody in the town would talk shit. Like, look at her. She's with that 20-year younger guy. And, you know, he's crazy. And so they pinned it on him. You know, and this is like a truck town stop, a truck stop town, you know, where she told me like hookers and prostitutes get murdered all the time and just dumped off. That's one of those cities where they're like, oh, finding a body out here isn't out of the norm. But this was a lady that lived in the town and got stabbed 50 fucking times. And she's like, yeah, she got stabbed in the face too, which means it was, you know, that's an overkill. One, if I've watched enough shows and you watch my episode of The Perfect Murder, you would know I watch a lot of those shows that's overkill. And that means that it's somebody close to that person. So she drops that on me, bro. And I'm like, holy shit. But I was so interested and intrigued. Dude, I didn't want the ride to end. We already got gas. And we're driving back. And I was just it was like the dopest true crime podcast you could hear. And it was live. And she was telling me, yeah, we went to court. He was in jail for 2 years. They didn't have DNA on him or anything. She was the only one that believed him. Everybody else in the town hated the guy and just because he was crazy. He's the weirdo. So they just automatically assumed he did it. You know, they just pinned it on him. And who knows who it could have been. And I was believing Heidi, obviously, because she was like telling me all, you know, from her perspective. And she's like, no, he was with me. I mean, you know, we were at the house together, but they just pinned it on him. And they said his DNA was under the lady's fingernails. Then they did the testing. And it turned out that it was 1 in 10,000 that it was this guy. So she's like, we're suing them. And I spent all my money, fighting this case. And now we're doing a countersuit to them. And they still, because I guess they took it all the way up. The DA took it all the way to the governor's office, she was telling me. So, like, this is a documentary that needs to happen. So I'm going to go back there, and I'm going to get these interviews, and I want to talk to them about it because I think it's such an interesting story that I think everybody would really be interested in watching if she wants to share it, because I just shared it for her. So, but just the sweetest people, dude. And that's just another lesson, and you never can judge a book by, if I drove by, I would be like, oh man, they're probably fucking racist out in the woods. They won't even fucking pay attention to anybody, that's not local. You know what I mean? And she even said, she was like, I was a nurse and I had to leave a couple of the people that I was taking care of because they were racist toward the Filipino nurses. And I was like, dude, you're a fucking angel. She was just such a sweet person, but such a wrong read I would have got.
Yeah.
Like out the gate.
I got a wrong read with Josh. I was like,
oh, dude, I thought he was like,
I was like, hey, watch it.
Yeah. I thought he was like one of those good old boy, like, like thought we were suspicious,
Yeah.
But he helped so much. Dude, and at the very end, I gave him some more money, and he was like, dude, didn't want to take it. That was, he's like, man, I wouldn't. I'm like, dude, you sucked gas for us. You fucking sucked gas for us, dude. So we get back to the thing. I told JR all the stories, and it was so funny because I got all these dead hooker stories, and then JR got all these dead hooker stories from Josh. Yeah. I'm like, dude, they just dump them right here. He's like, I know, they dump them right here.
Yeah.
So it was just like a crazy a thing that, if you were to split the cameras and have his conversation and my conversation, we were all talking about the same shit.
Yeah.
And the cartels that run through there. Yeah. And like how these guys mob through, because it's a drug running road, like the 10, dude. Mm-hmm. People running mad drugs through there. And that's one of the stops. And he's like, yeah, I see a bunch of these, like, she said, like the cartel types coming through here, and they'll spend like $1,000 to fill up each the gas, and then they make their way out. And she's like, you could totally tell who they are. And she's told me some crazy stories about like truck drivers that like have picked up prostitutes and stuff. And then they like come in there and the prostitutes like yelling for help. And she's probably saved some people's lives. But just a crazy world because you don't even think about it. We just drive through. You don't think like that's her everyday life. Like that's Heidi's everyday life. She's kicking it there. She has all her friends there. And she was telling me like, even in the town that we went to, Quartzsite, because they all know each other from the towns, right? There's like 300 fucking people in each town over there. And she was like, oh, yeah, this lady, I don't really like her much because I went in there one night at like 2 a.m. She was getting gas. And this lady that worked at the register was like looking at her and she goes, we know he did it. Like some shit like that. I'm like, oh, my God, what a bitch. And then she had a good comeback. I forget what it was. But I guess she knew that her husband had cheated on her. I don't know what it was. It was like something fun. She had a good comeback. She go, well, I don't know. I know he did it or something. Like I guess like her husband had cheated with somebody they knew, and she kind of like put that back in her face. But she was so funny, man. But that story is so crazy.
Crazy, dude.
Got a little love story in there with her and her boyfriend. I want to meet that guy,
Yeah.
But I wonder, and then if you interviewed like the DA, because you were saying, JR, like it has to be a strong case for them to take it to court.
Well, here's the thing. That's in LA.
Right.
So I don't know about little towns. Because little towns, they probably don't have a lot of cases, so they just want to take cases.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
And they want to just win them. In LA, in major metropolitan areas, if the DA doesn't have like a 90% conviction, like he knows it's going to be convicted 90%, they will not take the case because they want to have their numbers. It's all political shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They want to have good numbers so they can go up and be like, hey, look at my numbers, look at my stats.
Well, yeah, your stats are good, then you move up the ranks. And that's what she said. She was like, yeah, it was some DA that wanted to make a name for himself. And like they make names on themselves based on these cases that are hard to solve.
Yep.
And so the quicker they pin it on someone, the easier it is for them. And now we're talking like without knowing all the facts. This is like making a murder. When you saw Stephen Avery, the dude for making a murder, the cop said it was open shut case. They're like, dude, we know. If you ask them, they're like, dude, it's 1,000% him. But then you watch the family, and they showed that narrative on the documentary, so you have some doubt. But a lot of people that are very close to the case said it was really likely that it's him. So that's the thing. I'd like to interview the guy, and I bet you we get a good read on him like after like fucking 10 minutes of talking to him.
But here's the thing, like, is someone that's a little mentally ill, you're going to already side with him doing it just because of the read.
That's why the whole town did. But that's what the town fucked him because they were like, oh, it's like the town crazy guy. Yeah. They're like, of course he did it. but that's like when you watch those movies, they always have that guy, right? But it's not him.
That's the dude that you saw the shoulder.
Yeah, with the fucked up shoulder, and he's like, and he's walking around weird. But then it's the sheriff that fucking did it. You know, like that's what one of these stories could be. Or it's just some truck driver who came by and fucking killed her.
That's true.
You know, maybe some guy that like was hitting on her at the store she worked at, and then he found out where she lived and he kept seeing her on his fucking runs. I'm just making up a narrative, but I would be the lawyer.
That's a good one.
I could fight. Dude, think about it. Every time coming to town, stops in there and flirts a little bit, and he's a little awkward. Picture the guy, hey, what's going on? Looks her up and down a little too long, you know, and then walks away, gets in his car, the whole fucking methed out drive to wherever he's delivering that fucking Amazon Prime packages. That whole methed out drive, he's thinking about her and what he's going to do.
For sure, dude.
And he sees her again, and all it takes is one time, dude, he shut her down, and then he kicks back into elementary school when the first girl shut him down on the swings.
Damn.
Ladies
so
and gentlemen.
If you were the lawyer, that's a good
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I plead to you. I implore you to find a more plausible scenario. My client doesn't know where he is. I don't know.
No, but that's good though.
Do you know what I'm saying? That's a great,
especially all the prostitutes that end up dead. That's what you bring to the jury. They're like, look,
this happens all the
end
time.
up dead all the time.
Dude, you'd make a case of all the prostitutes that got killed, all the prostitutes that have been dumped.
And all from the truck driver.
Yeah, and you go, all these truck drivers, they come through, they do a thing, you know, they pick up a girl, and then shit goes south, and they kill him, and then they keep him in the car, and they dump him off somewhere. And this just happened to be where he brought the murder to the doorstep of the town. This is a case of a man coming through town and committing murder, people. It's not my client's fault that he has an IQ of 7. I don't know what his IQ is. But, you know, shit like that, dude. That's crazy. There's murders like that all the time. Well, that was quite, I hope, an interesting story for you guys. I like true crime stuff. I don't know if that story, if I told it in the way that would be interesting to a true crime person who's hanging on the edge of their seat, wanting to hear the next part. I'd like to think I did, but then again, I was in this situation, so it's way more interesting to me. So I hope it translated to you, because it could be a long story. I tried to tell the story a couple times, and like halfway through, I was like, you don't care, do you?